Hello, it's Michael Maynard, founder, CEO of Amino. In fact, I'm looking at the camera and I can see I've got my Amino with me today, right now. So, never know how many people are going to attend these events. We did want to ask if you have any comments, any topics of just about anything, exercise, nutrition, wellness, how the Rams are going to be dominant this year and be the Super Bowl champion, all that kind of stuff we can talk about. Um, but I did my first live event last week, and we had like 6 people. And I have other colleagues and friends who are also founders and owners of brands. And they said, "Your first one, you had 6? Wow." The first one we did, no one showed up. But I told them, hey, at least I've got a team. I've got a great email team who send out emails just to let people know. I've got a great social engagement person in April who is setting this up and who's actually with me in spirit, but also on a screen behind this. So if I have questions and you hear me talking for April, she is a live, real person who helps me with this stuff because this stuff ain't my jam, as they say. So first, I want to see, is there anybody online? Is there anybody? I think the only person that might be on here in viewers is probably myself and April. April, is that your point of view here?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just the two of us. So, so we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that a few people come online, and when they do, I'll talk a little bit more. And we'll give it a few more minutes to see what's happening. Right now, I'm in Southern California. If people have seen a lot of our packages and our stuff that goes out, we're in Seal Beach, and I'm 3 miles from the ocean. But we're having not just a heat spell, but we're having high humidity, which is weird for the Pacific Ocean. It's very humid on the East Coast. You go down to Florida, I don't know how people live in Florida with that high humidity. But right now in Seal Beach, our humidity is 84%. And I think I see Dan Ort online, and he's hurt. It says, "Dan, I'm sorry you're hurt. I hope it's not emotional, but I also hope it's not physical either." Because a lot of people have asked me, Michael, what's your one rule of fitness, exercise, weightlifting, or whatever you? And my rule starts at the very top, especially for people my age, old farts like me. And I'd say Dan, because he's 1 year older than me. Don't get hurt. That's rule number one, because if you get hurt, you can't work out. And working out is about consistency, it's about commitment. So I would rather bring down the notch of weight and really concentrate on slower movements, especially when you're bringing things back. Let that weight really set in. I would rather bring down the weights a little bit much so you don't get hurt. And I also love dumbbells. And it says, "Oh, he was hurt. Dan was hurt because I didn't see that he was watching." And Dan, that's just me and technology and me on my little laptop. I have this beautiful big screen here that normally works, and of all days today, it's not working. And this little tiny screen is kind of hard. So, but I apologize, and I'm glad that your hurt was emotional, and get over it. But yeah, rule number one of working out: don't get hurt. I'm a big fan of dumbbells because you don't need a spotter. At any point, if you have too much weight or you're getting close to failure and you don't want to hurt yourself, all you have to do is drop them. Boom! You're not hurt, you know. And they're indestructible when you're just pushing lead bar dumbbells. I have a set that goes from 10 up to 90 pounds, and I can pretty much figure out, with the help of some of the trainers that I work with, how to emulate just about any machine exercise, any dumbbell exercise, or not dumbbell, but free weights, long weight stuff. So, so I'm a big fan of dumbbells. So today, and this is just my buddy Dan, and just so you know, Dan was my best friend in high school. So he and I had an awesome time playing sports. We both did football. We both did track. I think one year he tried wrestling. My freshman year, I did do basketball. I was a basketball phenom in middle school or junior high. That's because I was over 6 feet. I was the guy who grew really fast. And basically, what I would do is I'd shoot in the paint. And many times I'd miss, but no one was tall enough or big or strong enough to get the rebound but me and give me 2 to 3 chances I'd eventually get the bucket. So it wasn't like I was a great ball handler or basketball. I just had this huge size advantage that each year, once you get to high school, that advantage starts shrinking, and then you find out you're pretty much just average 6'2" guy, which is, at a high school level, maybe a small forward, but not really. So I gave up on my basketball, but had an incredible time playing football. Loved the sport, still do. Still am addicted to the LA Rams. I'm still addictive. For a while, I was involved with youth sports at the high school level when my kids were in high school, and ran track. The difference between Dan and I is I was fast, he was faster. And he actually ended up going and running track at the collegiate level, which is miles above the high school level. So Dan was a stud. And also thanks Dan for his service, not military, but he is a retired LA County sheriff out there in the front line, and if anyone knows anything about LA County, we have gang problems that entered into his life. He also had fun stories about Snoop Dogg, who was a resident in one of his areas that he walked the beat or whatever you call that. So, but anyhow, Dan, I'm glad you're on. Today I'm wearing I'm wearing an Amino shirt. This lovely wicking shirt is something that I give out for free. We sell them, and people who like us will buy our shirts from time to time. But this shirt is a special shirt because we have what we call a subscribe and save membership. We call it a BFF, and BFF stands for Best Friends Forever. I'm not trying to be like an adolescent girl, but when we started our company, like a lot of people, we had mission statements, we had our core values, and when it came to core values, what stuck and has always stuck is we treat customers, vendors, clients as a best friend. Not like a best friend, because doing something similar to a best friend, that's not maybe necessarily what's the right word, authentic. But if you treat people as your best friend, you're going to have a great customer service team, and you're going to have a great marketing team. Everybody that I bring on board understands these principles. And when you treat people as best friends, that's just a great way to walk through life. So with that, when you sign up, one of the perks is you get cash back. We have different levels. The more history you have, you go from a silver level to a gold to a platinum. And each time you do a order, it tracks, and we give out gifts. And the shirt that I'm wearing, it's weird, it's like sailing opposite stuff here. The shirt is what we give out to the people on their 30th BFF shipment. And we've given out a lot of good shirts. The one thing that I'm very thankful and grateful for is our customer base, for the people who hopefully eventually get onto this call. But we value our customers, especially our BFFs, because they've made a commitment. They're getting an auto ship. And our auto ship, by the way, comes with concierge service. So if you're like me, not the best at tech, and don't want to go into a platform and remember your passwords and all that, you could just call the number on our bottle and say, you know what, I'm going on vacation next month, so I really don't want to bring a powder in the airport, so can you skip a shipment? Or, you know what, I'm tired of the berry, I need something new, can you please send the tropical splash? And you can just make a phone call and it can happen. Or you can send a text or an email and it will happen. So it does come with the concierge service. But we give out a host of gifts, and the very first one we give is a cute little pen with our little logo on it. You get that after your third order. I have my Mino because I just worked out 20 minutes ago. There it is, there's that logo. This is tropical with some creatine put in there. Today I did my chest and triceps. Dan, did you work out today? And if so, what body parts or type of workout did you do today? Post that comment, we'll talk about it. Eventually you will get a hat if you're in our BF. I think this is on your 20th order or 12th. Yeah, I think 12th. This is one of my favorite. It's in this plastic stuff. This is actually a gym towel with a nice big logo. You can bring that to the gym with you. If anything, I like the towel to drape across the dumbbells that I'm using. And if I'm doing a superset while I'm using one, I don't want others to go to the other. So you do the curl, then you do the tricep. Boom! You just move that. You move that. What you call it? Move that towel to do that. And a new comment. He's not motivated. Dan, we're going to have to talk about this. Oh, and by the way, Dan Ort gave me a compliment. He says you were a great tight end in football. Well, thank you. Back in the day, a 6'2", 180, 90 pound high school player, that was a tight end. Now it's just a big receiver because, gosh, people are just getting bigger and stronger every year. So Dan is not motivated. And you know what? That is one of the key things to do at the beginning. But again, no one really knows Dan here besides me. Dan is a stud. Not only was he a great football player, a fast runner, college track, when he became a sheriff, he did what a lot of sheriffs did. They bulk up, they get strong. They have to start working in prisons with criminals. And they have to be able to protect themselves without weapons, you know. So Dan bulked up and got big and got strong. And obviously he's now retired, so he doesn't have that same work motivation to keep it up. But Dan, here's the thing. You did it for you know your being a sheriff, but the fact is science says clearly that outside of, well, first of all, I'm going to take a step back. The thing that brings more mortality, the number one factor, some people will say cancer, this, there. No, it's the obvious: age. The older you get, the more likely you're going to die. There is this thing called lifespan. I like to concentrate on health span. And what health span is yeah, you might live to 85 or whatever, but man, those last 10 years, the last decade is marginalized because your mobility is bad, you got disease, you got that. So one of the things for enhanced health span, which leads to a longer lifespan, there's a commonality called grip strength. People with stronger grips live longer. Now, I could tell you no one goes to the gym to get a stronger grip. It's more of a causality. If you go and you lift weights and you're lifting things, pushing things, doing things, and doing it at a level of commitment, your grip strength is going to be stronger than those who don't work out. So muscle strength, muscle mass is critical for health span and for lifespan. Dan saying he got fat. And Dan, I'm going to send you some of our fat burner. 2.5 years ago, 3 years maybe, I've always wanted to do a fat burner, but guess what? They don't work. Ours does. But I would try things and it did not work. I found a colleague of mine pointed me to a colleague I already knew who was representing a company out of Norway that has a patented capsaicin, a phenyl capsaicin compound, which is basically a burning. It's basically in peppers, capsaicin, of what makes peppers hot. And if you've seen the pepper eating contest and the guy's just sweating like crazy, that's thermogenesis happening right before your eyes. And there's many capsaicin products out there, which is the component that brings the heat to peppers. A phenyl capsaicin is a technology where they add a phenyl carrier to it, and basically that means you can do a smaller dose, so you don't literally do the sweat, but it still has the same method of action. And we combine that with an amino acid. Go figure, amino, always going to feature an amino acid. That's the whole point. We're innovation with amino acids in the fitness and performance space. But we add that, and we also add some niacin, and we've got this great product that is a slow burn, but it's exponential. The more you use it, it's almost like you can actually melt away just about. My wife had to tell me to stop taking it for a while. And so I'll stop taking it. She goes, no. You, honey, you're getting too thin. You look deathly. So, Dan Ort, I'm going to get you some fat burner. You are my best friend. So look for a draft order for you to complete. And you need to find motivation to start up. The motivation is look at your belly every day. Is that really what God wanted for you? Is that what your wife married? I know that sounded harsh, bro, but still, one bro to another. Find the motivation. I could tell you what's hard in motivation now is California and 85% humidity, and I work out of my garage that doesn't have AC. And the motivation that I have to do now is I have to do it in the morning or I can't do it just because I physically can't go into a hot garage at 88 plus and put out an effort. And also, I've noticed that with performance in general. Anybody notice that? Is if I'm doing cardio, if I'm doing anything, the heat brings down my performance. If I want to monitor my VO2 max, which I do from time to time, I never do it in the summer because I already know it's going to be depressing based on what I did in spring. Summer motivation for me is the toughest because I hate the heat. Luckily, again, I live in California, and I live and am blessed that I live just 3 miles from the Pacific Ocean, and we don't have the heat of inland California in the south. We don't have, we do have higher humidity, but normally that's like 30%, 40%, which my wife's family from Arizona says is unbearable. But I say, yeah, come out now to 85% and tell me how you like it. So motivation to start, Dan, is maybe you and I should do an accountability group once a week where we go over stats, what you did, what you don't. And when you don't do stuff, I'll give you some tough love and call you a loser. I don't know. I don't know if that's really motivating, though. But Dan, you have a frame that you worked on when you became a sheriff. And I would say once you have that motivation and you go, I think you would see rapid results. If anything, one thing that I'm lacking the most of is I don't have before and after. And the reason I don't is when I started this brand, I said that this brand, my target market, and I'm a clever, educated guy, I said it's for the fitness culture. And then I had to go on and tell people what that means. To me, it's people committed to fitness. They got a gym membership. They have home equipment. They are actually working out and are committed to working out and improving their bodies and their lives. Never did I say, I'm going to invent this amino, work with attorneys and scientists and get patents and do all that stuff so I can then talk someone off of their couch, potato chips and beer. That's just too hard, you know. So with that, I get athletes who've been working out for not forever, but they've made commitments. They are committed and they're already at a certain level. In fact, most of the stories I hear is I've been working out for 3 years and nothing's changed. It did at the beginning, but I'm plateaued. So most of our stories are about breaking the plateau and two, recovering better. And that's the one thing, Dan, is with this product, and you know, you've had our product before, you just don't feel sore the next day. So if anything, if that's your motivation of, I just don't want to go through it, it's been too long, and it's been so long that once I work out, I already know, man, I'm going to be so tired and sore for the next 2 days. Well, that's not going to happen except for hamstrings. I think I might have discussed this before. It is the wildest thing from a sports medicine point of view. The hamstrings literally have no memory. Even athletes who work out all the time, if they forego legs for like 2 to 3 weeks, it's almost like starting all over, not from a strength point of view or a performance point of view, but from a recovery point of view. If you haven't done a leg workout in 3 weeks or more, and you do a good leg workout, which to me is different forms of squats, front lunges, and the back lunge. I think that there's magic in that back lunge. You will be sore for maybe 3 to 4 days. But here's the benefit. When you are sore, that means your body is recovering. That means your body did the micro tears. That means you're still burning calories. And Dan, one of the best ways to fight off fat is not through tons of abs. It is through diet. You have to, be smart and make good decisions. But the best way for a flat belly is a leg workout. Because in general, when you work out muscle, you're not burning calories like you do in cardio during the exercise itself, but you get a 24 to 48 hour recovery window where your body in recovery is still burning calories. When cardio stops, you burn a lot of calories, but then it stops. And maybe you burn a little for an extra hour or two. But science says 24 to 48 hours after strength resistance training, you're still burning calories. And so that brings me back, why not work your biggest muscle group 3 days a week? Because the bigger the muscle, the more calorie burn you're going to get, and in that recovery process. Now, I've got a great leg workout. Dan, I'm going to forward it to you, and I'm going to forward it to anybody. By the way, this video is time sensitive. Today is July 16th. Yeah, 16th, 2026. I might say that there's a discount code. I might say it out loud. And in fact, April, if you can put on the screen our special bundle pack that we discussed last week, it's an incredible offering that has a ton of stuff in it and free stuff in it that brings the cost from like $250 all the way down to like $160. And if you're a first-time order, you're going to get 20% off of that too. Once you go in and fill out the pop-up with your email, you'll get that code that you then get to use. So with all that said, if all of a sudden I'm saying something and it doesn't work because it's 3 years later, because this will be on YouTube, and you know these things never die, I apologize for that. And just reach out. We've got a phone number, we've got email, and reach out 3 years from now saying, hey, I want that code to work. I most likely, because I'm going to treat you as a best friend, I'll probably turn it up back on for you. Or Rupert will just give you that deal again. So anyhow, 3 days a week, do the legs. I'm going to send you fat burner and some more amino, Dan. But I also have a digital download that I put out from time to time called the Body Reboot, a 7-day challenge. And basically a 7-day challenge is just 1 week. And granted, if you haven't done legs, you might not be able to do the 7-day challenge in 7 days. You might not be able to get in 3 leg workouts, because if you have not done a leg workout and you do the workout that I propose in there for your legs, and what you do on the leg days, what you do on the upper body pulls, and it's actually not a pull, it's a circuit training developed by a trainer whose job in the Army, of all things, here he goes into the Army to, is he going to be a paratrooper? Is he going to be a this? Is that? No, he was the trainer for the U.S. Army boxing team. Not the fighting trainer, but the strength and conditioning coach. That's what he did for the military. And when you are a boxer and you're going through this, guess what exercise is the best to do for this and this? Widen it up, and it's called bench press. So this circuit also, there's no rest when you do a full circuit. You go from boom to boom to boom to boom, because when you box, it's a 3-minute round, and there's no resting. If you rest in the middle of a match, you're going to get punched in the face. So every other one is a bench. Then you would do some abs. Then you go do some bench. Then you would do an arm. Then you would do a bench. Then you would do some other thing. Then you would do a bench, and that would be one circuit. And you do like 3 to 4 of these. And you either can go for a cut routine where you're going to do 20 of these benches each and every time you do a bench, or only 10 if you're more into, I would rather do a build than a cut. So, and by the way, thank you, April. April just put in the view of the pack that we have, our special bundle. And this bundle, like I said, is a tremendous value of bundle. Somewhere I've got notes on it, but basically you're getting 3 of our top items, plus a free creatine, and our creatine's a little different, plus a free shaker bottle, plus free shipping, and you add all that stuff, that's a tremendous savings. And if you're new, you're going to get this pop-up, or secret, use a different email. You're going to get the pop-up, and with the pop-up, you're going to fill out your email and your phone. You don't have to give the phone, but you do have to give the email. And you're going to get another 20% off all that free stuff I sent you that I'm going to send you anyway. So it's a good deal. It's a good passive message. I think Daniel might have just sent me a DM message. I'm not good enough to do 3 things at one time, Dan, so I'll have to look at that. But motivation to start, Dan. You have a great frame. I don't think it's going to be hard to stop. We're going to take the motivation if you think, oh, I just don't want to feel sore. That's going to go away with Amino. I'm going to get you that fat burner, which is going to, all you do is you take one before your two biggest meals. And you won't notice much that first week, but second, you're going to start seeing a fraction of a pound a week. And then with your workout, it's going to become a little bit more each week. And then before you know it, the long, as they say, the tortoise beats the hare in the race. Literally, you just start taking this, and 6 months from now, people are going to notice. And I did this during a point in my life where I had an issue that I had to see doctors often. And whenever you go to a doctor, they always want to weigh you. And so I started this in August. And by the time December came, before I had to have a surgery, I went from 208 to 197. I lost 11 pounds, and I literally did nothing. I just did the same workout that I always did. I just took a pill before my lunch and before my dinner. And I've heard similar stories, and we've seen similar case studies with people. And those who are really motivated, they also take it at night, so you can burn a little bit at night. I've never tried that, but I've got 3 or 4 people I know who did that. And having that extra dose, I think, might accelerate some results, give you some wins under your belt, so you do stay minute. And by the way, Dan, that is also the great reward. When you have a couple of wins, that builds your motivation. When all of a sudden you're adding plates or adding reps or grinding it out, and before, I always call it, you can take things to failure. Science says that's optimized, but I don't even care about optimized. I want effective. So one level below effective is still muscle strength gain, muscle mass gains. So for me, I like to leave 1 or 2 in the tank after each press, and maybe on the last one take it to failure, but not failure each and every time. And some days not even failure. The days I do like to do failure workouts are Fridays, and I call it Friday failures, and try to take every muscle group I work on a Friday to complete failure, because on the weekends I do take time off. I try to do fun stuff, maybe hiking or whatever, but I'm not hitting the gym or doing any resistance. I do stretch every day, and that's another critical thing for old people like Dan and I. What do you do every day? What do you do every week? What do you do every month? But I can tell you one of the things to do every day is stretch. Keep that mobility and flexibility going. So, Dan, hopefully you'll get some motivation. If you did DM me after this live chat, I'll go and I'll look at it. But keep your eye out today for an email. It'll be a draft order. All you have to do is complete it, verify address. I never put in people's addresses anymore for them because I don't want to be wrong. So sometimes if you ever get a draft order from us, if you talk to Rupert in customer service, or myself, or why can't I think of that other person's name? Tim, there we go, or Tim, we'll send you the order with a deal or a bundle or something like that for you to complete. And don't forget, this cracks me up, and there's going to be some people who are going to shake their head right now because they know it's them. Sometimes we will get in customer service, where's my order? And we look at it, and eventually it comes back to us because someone forgot to put their apartment. You live in an apartment, it's in your address, but maybe you were drinking when you ordered, maybe you were distracted, but you forgot to put your apartment number, and then we have to ship it out again to you. That happens. And we've also had the one, oops, I ordered the wrong flavor. We put a packing slip in each one so you could see, here's what you ordered, here's what we gave you. And sometimes we do make a mistake, but if we do, call us. We'll make it right. And we're on your side. Like I said, we're going to treat you like a best friend. And my best friend is on this line right now. And if he forgot his apartment number and it came all back, guess what? I'm going to pay for his shipping again. And I'm going to say, hey, dude, don't forget your apartment. But we're going to do whatever we can to help you. Now, along this, Dan, and Dan, you don't need this, but let's say you did. I don't even know where to start with a workout. Again, we never set up our product to go after non-working people. We serve the fitness culture. But if you are one of those people, reach out to us. I have on staff a personal fitness trainer, certified, not just someone who knows gyms. He's actually educated, certified personal fitness trainer. His name is Kenny. He's a great guy. He's young. He's 23, so he, if anything, sometimes he over suggests things to older people. And I have to say, by the way, don't forget to ask their age, not to be over personal. And I need to also tell them, again, rule number one, don't get hurt. Don't have people get hurt. So, but anyhow, if Dan needed, he would have access. This is a personal fitness trainer who gets paid to do this. I will pay for the first 20 minutes, and usually in 20 minutes with the right questions and what are your goals? How many days can you work out per week? Let's hit the muscle group so many times. What have you done? What hasn't worked? He'll help you out and get you a really good, excuse my language, kick-ass workout. So we have that access. And again, if anybody's ever used our product and says it doesn't work, it does work. But you still have to work out. It's not a magic bullet. It has been shown that if you are in a gravity situation, like an astronaut, and on bed rest, it will help maintain, and I have to be careful. I don't want to say prevent atrophy, because that's a disease claim, but in the studies that were done, the amount of muscle loss for those in bed rest was insignificant, where those who took the placebo, they were in true atrophy. So we do have science on this that it works when you take it pre-workout, before a workout, 20, 30 minutes if it's a powder, 45 if it's a capsule. We have science that says while you work out, take this, and it shows effectiveness as well. We even have it if you didn't take it you didn't take it intra, let's say you forgot about it and then you took it afterwards. Good news, we have evidence that these aminos still are going to help you with muscle synthesis, and that's the whole key. And that's post-workout. What's the next step? Your rest days. We have scientific data that shows that the aminos that are in our ratios in our product are going to help you even on your rest days. So, and one of the things that I do is I now take our stimulant-free MSA. It's in a capsule form. I take that at night because the best time for recovery is when you sleep. So again, recovery is something people don't talk about enough. That is where all the magic happens, is in the recovery. That's where if you worked out hard, each set, each rep with just 1 to 2 left in your reserve, you're going to have these little micro tears on your muscle, and that's how it builds. So when's the best time for repair? Sleep, and get lots of sleep. Go for that 8 hours. Go to bed early. There's nothing really good on TV anymore anyway, and take some amino capsules every night when you go to sleep. It doesn't help sleep. I've actually considered doing an amino PM where I add some nutrients in there, maybe some magnesium threonate or something like that to help with sleep, and have an amino PM product. But frankly, we got to concentrate on the great 9 products that we have and market them more effectively and sell them more before launching anything new, because we've got a really good lineup. Take a look for it yourself. I'm going to look real quick. Finding the motivation to start. What are your suggestions? Okay, you heard all my suggestions. Another one is just the simple fact. Nothing is the worst. Doing nothing sucks. So what's better than doing nothing? Doing something. You've just improved. Now, on top of something, what's the next thing? Doing more. And what's better than doing more? Doing a lot. And or at least making a commitment. So start from something, grow it into more, grow it into a commitment. And the biggest motivation is when you start seeing yourself gaining strength by adding reps. Keep a diary of what you're lifting, how often you're lifting, how it felt. I have a little book that I always have at the gym, and I'm always, what was I lifting? How many reps? And then on that sheet, based on this workout, do I need to add reps or do I add plates? And most of the time, my goal is to add plates. So, and I find that in at least one muscle group, per week or per 2 weeks, I'm adding plates or something on a regular basis to one of the workouts, because my goal is trying to do anywhere from 6 to 10 reps. There's sometimes I want to go into a cutting phase and I want to get to 12 to 15, but if I'm not in a cutting phase, I don't want to do more than 10. I actually want to do somewhere between 6 and 8. And when all of a sudden I'm doing 4 sets at the 8 to 10, that's when it's time for me to add plates and bring it back down and see if I can get to 6. So figure out that range. And again, that's where Kenny could come in if you need a little help on that. He can give you some guidance. But the biggest motivation is success and winning. Get some wins in there. So, and by the way, I got a compliment from Dan. He goes, "Thank you. Very informative. That's why I'm here." If there is any other topic, and I'm going through right now and I don't see, somewhere there was a dashboard. How many people do we have online this week? We got 3 viewers now. Okay, cool. Not a lot, but it's quality, not quantity. And I'm kind of doing this. I'm reading a book, go figure. And look at this. It's called, yeah, I use dollar bills as bookmarks. I don't know why. What else can you do for a buck, right? A founder brand by this guy here. I probably should have read that 7 years ago when I launched this brand. But anyhow, I have found that, just being very personal right now, I am a 61-year-old athlete. I'm younger than Dan. He's 62. Sorry. I have a story to tell. Hopefully, I think when I'm telling people my age, they go, "No way." I'm hoping that's what you're thinking. I'm going, "No way, 45 at most." Really? What? You bench what? What? You know? What's weird is trying to find most of what we find with the orders, and when you do a little market research, is we do tend to beat older people. And I think that's because as you get older, it's harder to gain muscle. You've got age that you have to fight. There's a term called sarcopenia, which basically means you lose 1 to 2% of your muscle every year unless you do something. So damn, maybe that's motivation. You're going to lose your muscle. And by the way, you lose strength before you lose the mass. Mass is kind of at the end. So don't lose your muscle strength. Get it back. And you do have to work harder, but there's so many people at 45 that hit plateaus and go, "Why aren't I gaining? Why aren't I that?" So we tend to age a little bit more. So you try to go out and find some people, influencers, if you will. People, I don't do the Kardashian crap or anything like that, but I'll find trainers that have older clientele and I'll reach out. And what I find out is it's just hard to find people who actually want to share stories. And I'll share stories, but more importantly, I'll share any science. I'm a supplement executive since 1993, which makes me old, but very experienced in supplements. I worked for the largest manufacturer in supplements in the world. I headed up their new product division, where me and my team would do over 300 million in new items for our company and its portfolio, and navigate what we should be working on in the future. So I know a lot about supplements. I know a lot about health, wellness, science. Cal Poly grad, so there you go, Cal Poly science. So with all of that said, though, I'm taking a role. This is my second live event. I'm kind of making a commitment to doing them every Thursday at 10. Hopefully this will grow. Hopefully people will see the value in what I'm saying. And if you don't, I'm cool with that. So what I would say then is, what topics do you want me to discuss? When you see our social posts, Michael's going live on Thursday at 10, reply. Great. I want to hear more about this grip strength thing, or I want to know about progressive overload and what are the good progressive overload concepts. I want to talk about sleep. And by the way, that's one of the critical things. Did you know the average professional bodybuilder, because I talk to these guys, they sleep 8 to 9 hours, and they actually track their sleep. I do tracking too with a wearable. So it's not how much time in their beds, it's how much sleep you actually get. You toss, you turn, you wake up, you get these little micro awakenings. They're monitoring their sleep like they're monitoring their macros and their workouts. These professional bodybuilders are doing a lot to their body in micro damage to build, but they're also doing a lot of things right in how they're feeding themselves and how they're taking sleep. So I'll just put this out there. How many people are taking sleep seriously? Science says you need six, at least six. And and that's not just 6 hours in bed, meaning I went to bed at 12 midnight and I woke up at 6. No, that's real sleep within the window of you being in your bed. So, as I said, name a topic. And by the way, name a topic. And if I don't get to it, but I see it, I might say something like, hey, by the way, Jonathan wanted to talk about progressive overload. And while I have my theories on it, I'm actually going to bring in John Micheletti, who is actually a professional bodybuilder and a surgeon. So he's a scientist and a IFB carrying pro bodybuilder who does progressive load and has been doing that for 12, 14 years before it was even called progressive load. I'll get him on this call. I'll get him to go live with me. Maybe it will be a different format. Maybe it won't be Facebook, but if I see certain topics and I'm not the expert, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, I've just been doing this a long time and I have access to some of the best minds in workouts, in supplements. Well, supplements I am an expert at. I will find the right people and we'll have a live chat and a live discussion and we'll go deep on the topic. So this might end into a podcast. I don't know. That's not my intent. My intent was to talk to the customers who buy my product in one big forum. And that's what I'm doing now. But today it's kind of been a fun one-way conversation of me talking to my best friend from high school, Dan, who had no idea. By the way, this was not set up. I saw the name and he was hurt that I didn't see that I saw him. But and then reading his responses to what I'm saying here. So Dan, thanks for joining us and keep an eye out for your email. And I'm going to look and I'm scrolling. Do we have any new people? Oh, we have a fourth person that just hit. By the way, Dan's not the only person who's allowed to talk. Anyone, no, I'm not leaving the page. If there's anybody else before we sign off that wanted to make a comment, a question about Amino, a question about workouts, question, like I said, LA Rams. Man, does anybody think Aaron Donald's really coming back? I'm thinking it's more likely than not. And oh my gosh, I'm going to have to figure out how to score some more tickets to a SoFi game and see that happen. So I might actually go out to Arizona and watch them play there because those tickets are cheap and I've got family there. So anyhow, since we don't have another question, I want to thank April for making this happen and the posts that she sends out. And she is monitoring this behind the scenes with me in our Slack channel. I want to thank Victor, our email captain, who sends out email reminders and has this now on his weekly to let people know. We did in our email ask, hey, if you have any, but I did not see any reply. If you ever do want to reach out, we have multiple emails, but one of them is called info@omino.com and it's ohmino.com. You can't use an exclamation point or any wild characters in emails or URLs. So ohmino.com, and that would be info@ohmino.com. Email us any topic you want. Rupert looks at them and he will get you the answer, whether he's got a big history of all the questions people have asked about Amino. So he's got our glossary, if you will. So thanks. And also, since I brought his name up, thank you, Rupert. Especially if all of a sudden people email you 1 year, 2 months, 3 months from now because they're seeing this on YouTube. This will be on YouTube. Thank you all. And everyone have a great weekend and make sure you work out. I've got mine. Oh, tomorrow's workout, arms, but not with the bicep. It's only going to be straight pulling motions. And I do also do a fun compound movement with my legs where I do a squat with dumbbells, then I come up and do single biceps, then I do the press, Then I come down slowly and then squat again. So it's get your leg, get your biceps, get your shoulders. I call them thrusters. I don't know if I made that up. I didn't know what else to call it. I do think my bench fly try, which I call BFTs, I think I did invent that. I've never seen anyone do that. And I've had trainers come up to me when they say that, go, we've seen the buy to try or the other one. We've never seen all three of them done at the same time. So anyhow, with that said, thanks all. Have a great week. Stay fit, my friend.